Welcome back, MOVATI yogis. My name's Stephanie, and I'm going to be leading you through the 60-minute Hatha practice. Today's practice will involve the use of one block, so see if you have one at home that you're able to use, or anything else that's going to be a little bit heavy, but a really firm surface to help give us support as well. As always, you can always have any extra towels or blankets for Shavasana at the end to become extra cozy. Today's Hatha practice is going to be one where we're opening up through the hips, cultivating a sense of balance. Oftentimes I find that when we work on our external sense of balance, often it can help us work on improving our inner balance as well, both mentally and emotionally. When you're ready, let's meet down on your mat. So coming down onto hands and knees, we're going to sink the hips back into child's pose. So your choice, whether you're looking for a bit more space to open and sink down, maybe the knees come apart, big toes touch, or if we're looking for a little bit more support, keep the thighs pressing together as we glide the hips back. Hands reach forward, head bows down. And in order to begin our practice here, first, we must stop, creating a break in our day, a pause from what has happened earlier, creating space and opening ourselves up to what is to come for our practice. I've used the analogy before. Taking off your shoes before you come through the door. The doorway into our practice leads us into self-awareness, tuning in and listening to what the body has to tell us. And instead of rushing into our practice, just another thing to check off our list, moving on to the next item. Really allow yourself to pause here and open up into this moment and all it has to offer. Awareness can start with the breath, the rise and fall of your chest. Just observing the natural rise and fall rhythm of your breath. Slowly starting to take control of that breath with a deeper inhalation and exhalation. Drawing the breath in through the nose, exhaling out of the mouth. Cultivating a sense of ujjayi, that forced, controlled inhale and exhale with the sound resonating from the back of the throat. Perhaps opening up the eyes here. And on an inhalation, slowly pulling forward onto the hands and knees. And then from here, we're going to extend the right leg out at about hip height, inner edge of the foot, facing down. And on the exhale, slowly draw back in towards our child's pose. Maybe the toes start to lean in a little bit, flexing through the foot. Just finding a stretch across the inner portion of that right leg. Hips might not come down this low. We might be just coming into a halfway. Bring that foot perhaps a little bit further forward and draw back here. You can roll onto the heel, but you'll lose that inner thigh stretch. Try to keep the big toe pressing down. Inhale, coming back to hands and knees. Slide that right leg underneath. Exhale, left leg comes out to the side, that inner edge pointing down. And then exhale, slowly slowly sinking back as far as you comfortably can. You can always come to seated on a block or rolled up towel. Again, that big toe edge pointing down towards our mat or the floor. Finding that inner leg stretch. On an inhalation, slowly rising back up onto our hands. And exhale, slide that left foot back beside the right, coming into your tabletop position. Moving through a few cat-cows, wakening up the front and back of the spine. On an inhalation, let the belly sink low. Head and tailbone rise. Exhale, curl the tailbone under like a wave, rippling through the spine. The head, the last to be affected. Inhale, soften, maybe elbows bend just a little as we inhale, lifting up. Exhale, rolling through, creating that rainbow shape, lifting up. Continue to flow with your breath. It's okay if your count is a little bit different than mine. Just trying to really maintain that long breath and have the movement last the entire duration of the breath. Pausing before moving into the opposite direction. Last inhalation to dip. Exhale to round. Inhale, come back to a flat, neutral spine into our tabletop position. We're going to work a little bit here on balancing and dancing table. So for balancing table, inhale, right leg reaches straight back. Big toes can stay connected for now. A few options here. Instead of immediately going to lift the opposite hand, perhaps focusing on one limb at a time. Inhale, lifting that right leg up off of the mat. Toes curl under. Pausing here with both hands touching down, noticing the muscles that are engaged when we flex the toes under versus pointing the foot back. Feeling a bit more of that front chain, the quadricep engaging as we flex, calf getting a nice stretch. Inhale, pointing down, feeling the glutes start to fire, wanting to lift up. Just observing here, these small ankle changes, how does it change the support we feel in our leg? We're going to be floating our legs quite a bit in class today. Option to bring that right toe down as we're ready to lift the left arm, or keep the leg floating. Inhale, left arm reaching forward, pinky finger pointing down. Gaze can look down towards the hands if it's comfortable for the neck, or start to peel it up in front. We can stay here. Or if the shoulders have the opportunity to go a bit deeper, bending through the knee, left hand sweeping back, searching for that right foot or ankle. Inhale, press foot into hand. Finding the cat-cow here. Our cow of the belly sinking down, but strength of the cat through the shoulder on the right side. Inhale, release, forward and back. Again, right foot can come down here, or exhale, slide out to the sides. Maybe those right toes come down, or we keep them floating out for balancing table. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release down. If you need to slide back into child's pose or give the wrists a little roll, feel free. Ooh, that one did not roll off of the tongue. From here on the other side, so toes are pointing straight back. Inhale, left leg reaches. Prepping here, making sure the knees are feeling okay. You can always roll your mat under. Inhale, left leg lifts up. Only about hip height or so here. And again, we flex the toes. We point the toes. Noticing the different muscle groups that engage through the articulation of the ankle. Feeling that length, like we can float and fly when we point the toes, but when we flex them towards the shin, do we feel locked in and strong? We can bring the toes down or bracing through the core. Inhale, right hand floating up off of your mat, thumb pointing up, reaching in opposite directions. If we want that opportunity to go deeper, exhale, bend that left knee, right hand sweeping back. making that connection. And then inhale to find space through the chest, foot pressing into hand. Coming into our dancing table, because there's a little bit of movement naturally happening here. Inhale, release, forward and back. Exhale, sweep out to the sides. Again, left toe can always come down. It's quite intense for the abductors on the outer hip. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, releasing down. We'll slide back into child's pose for the legs. Inhale, walking the hands to come into an upright seated position, hero or virasana. So tops of the feet are folded flat. You can always come up onto a block as well or rolled up towel underneath. And we're gonna bring palms together, fingers interlace into fists, and just give the wrists a little roll here today. Should have practiced my Dr. Zeus before class. I'm not enunciating quite as clearly here. Whichever direction we were rolling in, let's go back into the other way. And then release the hands down, reaching the arms forward. Imagine you were holding 2 cans of paint, very heavy cans. The hands pull right under, and then inhale, we're lifting those cans of paint up, just stretching across the tops of the hands. And then exhale, release. Come forward, back into tabletop. We're going to move through some modified side plank variations here. So start out on the left side. So that left leg is going to kickstand over 90 degrees. So the shin is across the long side of the mat here. Left fingers are pointing forward. Inhale, straighten that right leg, rolling the hips and shoulders to stack. Right hand can stay at heart center. Can come up onto the hip. Or inhale straight up towards the ceiling. Gaze can follow up. Finding that strength and width across the chest. Feeling a slight stretch perhaps across the hip crest here, especially if we do a lot of a seated position in cars or at desks. Let's dive into that side stretch a little more. Exhale, right hand reaches overhead across the crown of the head, fingertips pointing down, those right toes still connected on the mat, creating this rounded, lifted arch shape. Inhale, right hand reaching straight in front. Let's see if we can lift that right leg, floating it up, toes flex in once more towards the shin, finding a nice long level line across the hips and shoulders, out through the hand and foot. Maybe work those abductors a little. Can we lift that right ankle higher than the hip? Ooh. Exhale, back to hip height. Let's go once more. Inhale, lifting the leg a little higher than the hip. Exhale, come back down. And then roll forwards. Right hand comes down. We'll walk the hands in front of that left knee. Right leg stays extended. Big toe edge for now faces down. Inhale to rise up, standing on our left shin. Option to roll the mat over in front or any extra padding you have at home. Let's roll those right toes up towards the ceiling. So knee and toes face up on that extended right leg. Left hand on the hip. Right hand on the thigh. Inhale, left arm reaching up. Gate pose. Exhale, slide the right hand down the right leg. Can pause anywhere it's comfortable, just not pressing onto the knee. That same opening of the chest. Can we gaze up here? Getting a nice sensation, hopefully, through that left side now, especially as we roll open. And then exhale, hands come down, kickstand that left foot towards the front of the mat. So ideally now, you've got that right leg extended, heel pressing down. Left knee is underneath the hips, and we're in Ardha Hanuman, or half splits. Inhale, finding some length here. Draw that right leg back into the hip socket like you were going to drag that right heel. And then exhale, floating down. Perhaps blocks underneath the hands to allow those elbows length to be able to bend and bow the chest forward. Left toes can be folded under or top of the foot flat. Finding that deep inhalation through the nose. Fill the belly and lungs. Exhale. Allowing that release to sink into the body, into the extended leg. Inhale, start to bend the right leg and walk the right hand forward. Might have to bring that right foot back a bit, coming into a low lunge or Ardha Hanuman on that right side, pointing towards the back of the mat. Staying here, gaze starts to lift. Exhale. We're going to rise up into Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Inhale, lift arms at heart center or reaching overhead. Exhale, hold here. Scissor those inner thighs together, finding support. And then opening through the chest, gaze comes up. Exhale, fold down, hands frame the front foot, curl the left toes. Inhale, hips and knee rise. Exhale, walk over towards that left side of the mat, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Heels come out, toes point in. On an inhalation, lifting up halfway. Nice bend in the knees, thinking like a deadlift. We have that support. Exhale, maintain that bend, allowing the pelvis to bend and hinge forward. If there's a bit of space left in the hamstring, perhaps lengthening out through the back of the legs now that we've folded. Hands can stay under shoulders. They can be up on blocks. If we find we have a nice bend in the elbows here, perhaps reaching the hands back behind. Or wrapping peace fingers around the big toes. Inhalation for some length in the spine, a little lift. Exhale, deep contraction of the deep abdominals, folding down. Inhale, lifting up halfway, arms can extend. Exhale, walk the hands towards the left foot, coming back towards the front of the mat. We'll slide that left foot back beside the right. Inhale into plank, your version. Knees can be down, forearms can be down. On an exhale, bend the elbows, chaturanga. We lower all the way down onto the mat. Baby cobra here. Hands can float or just fingertips press down. Inhale, finding length. Exhale, bowing down. Inhale once more. Exhale, fold. Perhaps cobra this time. Bhujangasana, elbows hug in. Inhale, peeling, lifting the ribs and the belly up off the mat, keeping a bend in the elbows, not pressing into that low back and crunching, finding a lift. And then exhale, lower down. Curl the toes. Inhale, lift up into tabletop position. We're going to do that same flow on the other side. So knees are underneath the hips, hands under shoulders to start. Fingertips point forward. Right hand will stay planted where it is. Right leg kicking out over that long edge of the mat. Inhale, open, stacking into our modified side plank. Left arm reaching up. Perhaps gaze follows here. Again, starting out with that gentle stretching sensation across the left hip. Seeing if we can get that right knee directly underneath the hip for support. And then exhale, left hand slowly drapes over the head. Opening up now through the entire left side body. That nice arch shape. Fingertips and palm pointing down. Inhale, engage that left arm so it still reaches overhead, but fingers are now pointing towards the wall. And then inhale, float that left leg up off of the mat. Baby Ardha Chandrasana, or modified version. Working those abductors. Can we inhale, left leg a little higher than the hips? Exhale, lower back down. Once more, we can do it. Inhale, lifting up, flexing through the toes. Exhale, lower to hip. And then exhale, left foot comes down, left hand comes down. We'll rise up onto that right knee, standing tall. Those left toes rolling to bring the heel down, toes and knees point up. Left hand onto that left thigh. Inhale, right arm reaching overhead. And then exhale, slowly start to open. Noticing if you're rounding forward. Instead, come back up and see if we can open that right arm towards the ceiling perhaps at first. And then slide the left hand down. Looking for that side body release, creating space between each of the individual ribs on that right side. If there's space for the neck to turn and bring the gaze up, feel free to do so. And then exhale, cartwheel that right hand down. Hands are either side of the left foot, pivoting on that right knee, coming back. Might have to draw that left foot a little bit closer to comfortably be in between the hands when hands are under the shoulder. And pulling back, keeping that left leg extended, heel plants down, toes curl and lift up. Ideally, that right knee is underneath the right hip. So if we find we've got a bit of a bend in the right knee, option 1, contract that quad, lift that heel up, plant the left leg a little bit further. Or curl the toes under on that right knee and lift it up and back. You choose how you want to get there. Once we arrive, inhale, finding length, a little lift. Exhale, bowing down. Knowing that we can always use our block or blocks as an extension in the arms to allow the elbow space to bend. Left leg drawing in, right hip slowly coming forward. On an inhale, we start to lift. Gaze comes forward. Plant that left foot down. Walking the hands forward. Anjaneyasana, low lunge on the other side. Once that foundation is built through the legs, on an inhale, we lift. Exhale to settle, sinking down. Keeping integrity through our low back, so not dumping down. That lift up finds some engagement and strength in the front body. Exhale, can we open up? Inner thighs are still engaged, squeezing together. Inhale, gaze can come up as high as possible. Maybe arms start to reach back behind the ears, that real crescent moon-like shape. And then exhale and core pulls in, folding down. Curl the right toes. Inhale, knee and hip lift. Exhale, walk towards that left long edge of the mat. Wide-legged forward fold. Bring those toes in slightly. Inhale, find length. Exhale, bowing down. Knowing that hands can always be up on blocks, keeping the torso more in line with the hips. Or if we have some more flexion that's come through the hips and we've got that bend in the elbows, we can walk the hands back in line with the heels. Maybe turn the fingers out, reaching towards that long edge of the mat behind us. Or my favorite, wrapping the peace fingers around the big toes. Inhale, lengthening through the arms and heels. And then exhale, using a bit of upper body pull, lowering down, elbows come out to the sides. Inhale, lifting up halfway. Exhale, walk back towards the front of the mat, so right toes point forward, left heel reaching back. Slide the right foot back beside the left into your plank. And this time, exhale, lower all the way down, chaturanga. Your back bend, inhale, peeling up for cobra. Or maybe upward facing dog, pressing into the tops of the feet, thighs and hips lift, arms extend nice and long this time. On an exhale, we will all drag the core in and back, downward facing dog. Taking a deep inhalation And exhalation here. Maybe inviting a little movement into your down dog. Pedaling, one leg straight, one leg bent. Perhaps finding a bit of movement in the arms as well. A little down dog push-up. Inhale, just bending the elbows out. Exhale, extending. Inhale, a little bit of bend. Exhale, extending, reaching back. We don't have to bend the elbows. It can even be just movement in the shoulder blades themselves. Protracting and retracting. Protract, retract. Come back to our breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Inhale, lifting up onto tippy toes. Bending the knees. Exhale, walk those tippy toes forward to meet the hands at the top of the mat. And then plant the heels down. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands can float up onto the shins. Exhale, fold down into your forward fold. Perhaps hands remain on the shins. Fingertips pressing down, or palms down on the mat. Tuning in to the sensation across the back of the legs. Normally we hear the hamstrings exclaiming how tight they are. See if we can settle in, starting to turn down the volume. And feel perhaps little hints, little whispers of some length, some opening working its way into the muscles with this longer hold. Inhale, halfway lift, extension through the spine. Exhale, folding down. Reverse swan dive. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, palms come down, heart center. From here, coming into crescent moon, I'm just going to turn to face you, but stay at the top of your mat. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. And then exhale, bend towards one side. Option if this is a bit intense on the side body, the lower bottom hand can come to press onto the thigh or keep the palms together. Inhale, rising up to center. Other side. Exhale, bowing over. Heels are planting down and trying to resist the urge for that outer hip to lift up. Keep the legs squeezing together, fingertips reaching out. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release the hands. You're looking forward at the top of your mat. Moving through some sun salutations, stoking our inner fire or our Agni. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold, we bow. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step one foot back and then the other into your plank. Have that exhale last us through our chaturanga. Inhale, peeling up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhaling one time and exhaling here. Inhale, bending the knees, gaze forward, step the opposite foot forward, and then the other to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead, gaze follows. Exhale, palms down, heart center. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, forward fold to bow. Inhale, extend. If you're like me, you step with the right. So exhale, step the left foot back and then the right. Chaturanga to lower or hover. Inhale, peeling up, maybe upward facing dog. Exhale, core engages, rolling back, downward facing dog. One inhalation and exhalation. Inhale, bend the knees, gazes forward. Step the right foot to the hands and then the left. Inhale to lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Exhale, palms come down, heart center. Let's flow through Surya Namaskar, B. Inhale, bend the knees, sink the hips, sweep the hands by the sides, chair pose, Utkatasana. And then exhale, forward fold, hands come down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step, hop, or maybe walk the feet back into plank. Chaturanga, exhale to lower. Inhale, peeling up. Exhale, lifting up and back. Left heel plants down on the diagonal. Right foot comes forward. Virabhadrasana 1. Inhale, arms reach up. Coming all the way down. Exhale, chaturanga, stepping back, lowering down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, downward facing dog, same thing. Right heel plants on the diagonal. Left foot comes forward. Inhale, reaching up. Big exhale, lower the hands, step the foot, chaturanga. Inhale, filling up the lungs. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll take 2 more complete breaths here. Noticing the increase of the heart rate, increasing the rate of the breath. If we can control one, we slowly start to control the other. Inhale, bend the knees, gaze comes to the hands, step, walk or hop the feet forward to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose, sweep the fingers, bend the knees, lifting up. And then exhale, come to stand through mountain, samastitihi, or ready position. Arms are by the sides here. We're gonna move through our first full standing series here. Inhale, reaching arms overhead. Exhale, floating down. Chair pose once more, bend the knees. Inhale, lifting the chest up. Arms can come up as well. And then exhale, sweep the right hand and right foot back. Warrior 2. Right heel plants down, parallel with that short side of the mat. Left toes reach forward as the left hand extends over the leg. Right hand reaching back, floating over that right leg. Gazes forward over that front middle finger. Settling into our warrior stance. In this Hatha practice, we do static holds a little bit longer, so not as much flow or movement like you would see in our power and flow. But not only do we learn the foundations of our poses here, we start to train the muscles and maybe explore going a bit deeper into our warrior lunge. Exhale, bring that left forearm down onto the left thigh. Inhale, right arm reaches overhead. Staying there, or sweep along this horizon overhead, opening the chest, just like our modified side plank, but now we're in extended side angle. That right foot planting down. Can we find a bit of engagement on the inner edge? Pressing down, we're not just rolling onto the outer edge. Inhale, slowly start to lengthen through that left leg. Right hand reaches up. You can come all the way into upright. Or here, we're now in triangle pose. That left forearm can come for hand on thigh, hand on the shin. Maybe grabbing your block, placing it on the outside or inside edge. Or back of the forearm, pressing into that ankle. Inhale, reach the right arm up. Gaze can follow. Rolling that right hip on top of the left. Again, similar shapes that we had originally lower down to the mat. Now adding longer levers, extending the limbs here. Inhale, bend into that left leg, draw the right arm back. Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2, gazing over the front fingers. Inhale, straighten our front leg. Turn those left toes in to face the right. Wide-legged forward fold. Exhale, hands can come onto the hips as we bow. Right hand planting down under the face. Inhale, finding length. Layer on that left hand. It either stays on the hip or reaching up towards the ceiling. Coming into a twist. Exhale, float that left hand down. Inhale, walk the hands forward. Right heel can lift up as the left toes come forward, setting up for warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. So that right foot steps a little bit closer. Right heel comes down, foot is on that diagonal. Bend into the left leg, into our lunge. Inhale, rising up, just like Surya B. Finding that stretch through the right calf. Gazes towards the hands as if we're holding a medicine ball above our head, or maybe bringing palms to touch, biceps underneath the chin. Inhale, draw the hands to heart center as we lengthen through that left leg. Getting ready for pyramid pose, our forward fold over the front leg. Knowing that we want to keep the torso nice and long as we fold. The wider the legs, the more intense it might be on that left ankle. We can step the right foot a little bit closer. Blocks are our friends for go-go gadget arms if we want to find a bit of length there so that we can keep the torso nice and long. If we don't have blocks, you can always press one hand on shin, one hand on thigh, just to disperse some of the weight of the upper body. When we know what our prop situation is, hands can start out on the hips, opening the chest forward, rolling that right hip as close as it can to be forward. It won't get all the way there though. That's just anatomy. Slight bend in that left leg if you hyperextend like I am here, just to give support. Inhale for length. Exhale, bow forwards. You can release the hands down. Maybe that allows the right hip to round forward, like our Ardha Hanuman or half splits that we did in our warm-up. That same positioning here in the body, those same sensations. If we're looking for an opportunity perhaps to build some more strength, we can float the hands up, coming onto the back in reverse prayer, opening the elbows up to the sides. Exhale, release the hands down if they're not already. Inhale, bend into that front knee, coming into a lunge. Step the left foot back beside the right into your plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, peeling up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Making any movements or adjustments the body calls for here. When you're ready, inhale, gazes forward, bend the knees. Exhale to step, hop or walk the feet forward towards the hands. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend the knees, sweeping the arms up, chair pose. Exhale, come to mountain, release the arms down, Samastitihi. Repeating on our other side. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, coming down. Inhale, bending the knees, sinking the hips back, chair pose, Utkatasana. And then exhale, sweep the left arm and left leg back into warrior two. So bending into that right leg, adjusting your stance as you need. Right fingers reaching out over top of that right thigh. Left arm reaching back in a line over top our left leg. Noticing if the shoulders are a little bit off, maybe gazing over that back hand. Make sure it's falling in line, and then bring the gaze forward over our right middle finger. Again, holding here a little bit longer. We've been doing a little bit of work so far on the legs, seeing how they feel from the inner thighs to the outer thigh, outer hip on that right leg. Dropping down, extended side angle. Right forearm can come down, or perhaps all the way onto a blocker on the mat. Left arm can reach overhead, or sweep along the horizon, reaching towards the top of the mat, rolling the chest open. If we brought the hand all the way down, inhale, press into that right foot, bring the forearm back onto the thigh. And then inhale, finding length on that right leg gently. Perhaps lifting the forearm, finding that support into triangle. And then as the right fingers reach down, left hand comes straight overhead. Cultivating some of that outer calm. Having only the breath moving in the pose. That outer calm, hopefully bringing a sense of inner calm. And then inhale, bending into that front knee. Gaze comes forward. Let that left hand sweep down, and we walk the hands towards the left side of the mat. Wide-legged forward fold. Starting out, opening up towards the right, so left hand comes down. Inhale, sweep that right arm up towards the ceiling. Gaze can follow here. Maybe instead of pointing up at 12, you're able to open up a little wider towards 2 o'clock. And then exhale, right hand floats down. Inhale, walk the hands towards the top of the mat. Virabhadrasana 1. So needing that shorter stance, bring the left foot forward a bit. Heel plants down on the diagonal. Inhale, bend into the right leg, and then rise up into your warrior stance. Once we have the feet placement correct, finding that right depth in your lunge, focusing on the upper body, drawing the torso up out of the hips, a slight back bend through the chest, either holding that medicine ball or palms come together, biceps in front of the chin, not wrapping around the head. Exhale, release the hands, straightening that right leg, knowing that we're going to fold forward once more. If the hamstrings are feeling really tight or the back of the ankle, we can step that left foot forward a little bit more. Having our props set up, blocks on either side, or knowing where we're going to place the hands on the leg. Inhale, finding length, chest faces forward. And then exhale, slowly hinging down. Okay for that right knee to start to bend, lifting up. It's simply protecting the joints. On an exhale, pressing into the feet as if we could tear your mat in half. Hands can stay here on the hips, support on the leg, support on either side of the leg. Maybe once the hands come down, we can feel that left hip rolling under, right hip rolling under, left hip coming forward. If we went for that added strength, maybe bringing hands behind the back once more into reverse prayer. Not worrying about curling the nose or the chin down towards the knee, but simply reaching the crown of the head down towards where the toes are on the floor. Release the hands down if they're not already. Inhale, bending into that right leg, stepping it back beside the left into your plank. Chaturanga, exhale to lower or hover this time. Inhale, peeling up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Knowing that at any time you can substitute puppy pose or child's pose for downward facing dog. Rejoining this practice at any time when you're ready. Big toes come to touch from here. Inhale, coming up onto those toes, and then sweep the right leg back, three-legged down dog. Bending at the knee, reaching the toes over, opening, stacking the hips. You can stay on the toes or bring that left heel down. Inhale, right leg extends back. We come onto the toes once more. Exhale, draw the knee forward in between the hands, stepping it down. High lunge, right leg forward, left heel reaching back. Inhale, reaching up, maybe a bit wobbly. Exhale, settle into the lunge. That same motion, right leg draws back slightly, left hip comes forward. Exhale, bowing down halfway, airplane arms, the arms sweep back, palms face down, fingertips reach. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, twisting to open. Right hand reaches back, left arm forward, opening towards that right side of your mat. And then bring our twisted lunge down. On an exhalation, left hand comes inside of the right foot, right hand reaching up towards the ceiling, keeping the hips elevated, but that right knee bent. Exhale, sweep the right hand down. Inhale, rising up, high lunge. Exhale, we're gonna come forward into warrior three. Virabhadrasana 3. Option to come through that halfway lift, launching ourselves forward. Hands can be at heart center. Or if the leg's a little fatigued like you saw there, bring our high lunge down. And entering from this folded position, walk the hands forward. Inhale, left leg reaches back. Hands can stay under the shoulders here. Or maybe drawing one hand up to heart center and then the other. Exhale, slowly bring that left foot beside the right, coming forward. So if we had hands down like I did here, we're gonna slowly draw up to mountain, drawing that left knee in front. Option if you were in warrior three to simply sweep the left leg forward. Hands at heart center. Extend that left leg in front, using the quadriceps to help lift. And then exhale, sweeping it back into our high lunge. Hands come down. Step that right foot back, downward facing dog. No vinyasa there. Lengthening out through that right side. Finding a bit of rest and ease in our inversion. We'll repeat that same flow. You know where you're going now. You know your body can take it. Let the mind guide the body and be stronger. Inhale, lifting up onto the toes. Exhale, sweep the left leg up and back. Exhale, bending into the knee. Rolling that left hip on top. Maybe that right heel plants down. Inhale, right leg reaching back. Exhale, left knee comes forward in between the hands. High lunge. Once you're stable, then set. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, pause. Not rushing into the next movement, the next posture. Finding space. Holding space here. Exhale, hinge forward. Sweep the palms back behind. Palms face down. Airplane. Finding strength in this folded version if this is how we're going to want to enter into our warrior three. Inhale, coming high lunge, arms reach overhead. Whoo, feeling that left leg stabilize. Exhale, open towards the left side. Left hand reaches down. Right hand reaches forward. Pinky fingers are pointing down. Thumbs pointing up. Exhale, release that right hand down. Inside of the left foot. Inhale, left arm lifts up. Exhale, fold that left hand down. Warrior three are two options from this lower high lunge. We can slide forward, hands coming underneath of the shoulders, working on floating one hand then the other, eventually both into the chest. Or we rise up into our high lunge, arms overhead, bowing forward, hands can be at heart center overhead, and then shooting forward, coming into Virabhadrasana 3, warrior. Inhale, whichever version we're in, we're gonna bring that right leg forward, coming into mountain. From this higher version, we can sweep the right leg forward and up. Or if the hands were staying down, come through a forward fold and then rise up to mountain, drawing that right thigh with you. Inhale, press that right heel forward. Active flexibility, quadricep lifts. And then exhale, coming back through a version of Warrior 3, touching down into our lunge. Slide that left leg back. And exhale, downward facing dog. Taking a deep inhalation and exhalation here. Perhaps the heels coming a little closer onto the mat. Feeling that calf stretch. On every exhale, can we draw the core in, creating a bit more hinge and lift through the hips. Inhale, bend both knees, gaze comes forward. Step, hop, or walk the feet to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead. Exhale, palms come down, heart center. We've reached the top of our mountain, yogis. We are at the peak, our peak pose of the practice. We're going to use a block for this one. It's Ardha Chandrasana or half moon. From the standing position, mountain at the top of your mat, I'm going to just step back a little bit. Exhale, forward fold, coming down. Noticing where the hands fall when they're directly under the shoulders in our forward fold. Place a block underneath the left hand here. Our half moon sometimes is entered through Warrior 2 or extended side angle. We're going to take it through Warrior 3 this time, that revolving opening that we've been doing. So on an inhale, hands can start down on the mat. Sweep the right leg back. Finding a bit more height, maybe both hands are on a block or simply bringing that left hand up. Block should be on the pinky toe edge. From here, right hand can draw onto the heart or onto the hip. Inhale, slowly start to open the chest up. And the right hip is naturally stacked. Once we've opened, flex the toes towards the shin, finding that support through the right leg. Right arm can reach up, half moon. If you want to take a deeper version, perhaps a bind, I know this one as candy cane, bend the heel in towards the seat of our floating leg. Perhaps right hand can reach back, find the top of the foot, and pressing into it here. Inhale, release arm and foot with control. Exhale, float that entire right side down, back into our forward fold. Inhale, one time for length. Exhale, ragdoll, bending the knees, giving that left leg a bit of softening, the right leg there to support. Coming through onto the other side, working on that external balance, bringing us internal balance and clarity. Right hand is underneath the right shoulder in our forward fold, either on the mat or on our block. Fingertips, palm are on the block. Inhale, sweep the left leg up and back. Toes curl in, finding opening and length through that right side. Left hand rises up to the heart or onto the hip. When you're ready, left hand can float towards the ceiling. Ultimate challenge to balance is bringing the gaze up towards that top hand as well. Maybe you try, maybe you fall. That's the beauty of practicing at home. Nobody knows. You can just come right back into the pose without a rush when you're ready. If you want, bending that left leg, making an attempt towards the grab on the other side. Inhale, pressing foot into hand, lengthening through that right leg. Inhale to release. Exhale, slowly roll that left side down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, lifting once more. Exhale, fold. Inhale, last time, lifting up. Step the feet back into a plank position. And then exhale, chaturanga, lower all the way down. Crown of the head reaching forward. On an inhale, bending the knees. Bringing the heels towards our seat. And then windshield wiper the legs side to side. So just allowing the feet and ankles to roll side to side. Little low back massage. Maybe outer hips, inner thighs. Just giving the legs a little release here. Inhale, back to center, extend the legs. Exhale, press into the palms, into the hands, pull the hips up and back. Into child's pose. We're climbing down the mountain now. Knowing that the hardest portion of our practice physically is behind us. But with the stillness to come, perhaps this is truly the hardest part, our mental practice. On an inhale, slowly rise back onto hands and knees. Coming into a seated position, however that looks for you, maybe rolling over one side or rolling over crossed ankles. We're going to come down onto a flat spine. Make sure your block is close by, able to grab. Rolling down on the spine, soles of the feet are flat onto the mat. Moving any extra layers or clothing that might be on the low back for now. Coming into an active front body stretch, bridge pose, arms lay by the sides, palms facing down. As if we're squeezing a block in between the thighs so knees aren't flailing open, ankles in line with the hips. Inhale, quadriceps, start the lift. Exhale, have the glutes fire up, pressing into the heels. So instead of just a lift, we're pressing and rounding the chest forward. Feeling more of the leg strength here. Palms pressed down. Or maybe interlace the fingers under the back, walking the shoulder blades together, elevating the neck, protecting the cervical spine. Pressing, bringing that rounding shape into the chest, almost pressing into the chin. And then exhale, soften slightly. Keep the hips floating though. Unbind the shoulders. Grab that block. And I want you to slide it underneath the hips, going lengthwise across the back of the pelvis. Ideally supporting the sacrum, that flat spot on the back of the hips where the block is not creeping into the upper spine and not extending out past the tailbone. From here, draw the right knee in towards the chest. Exhale, left leg extends down. We can interlace fingers on that right shin, gently pulling it forward towards our torso. And switching sides. Exhale, right leg extends, left knee pulls into the chest here, drawing it in. Exhale, release that left leg to extend as well. Soles of the feet fall open. Palms can face down here. Feeling this gentle opening across the front body, either on the number 1 setting or planting the feet to lift the hips, perhaps bringing the block on to the number 2 position, and then extending the legs. Listening to the body and the amount of stretch or opening that it is seeking. Not where your ego wants you to go, but where does your body crave to go. heels towards the seat. Inhale, lifting the hips, we'll slide the block out of the way, lowering the hips down, preparing for our final pose, Shavasana or corpse pose. Legs can extend down on the mat, or maybe bring soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to fall open into bound angle. Hands can rest under the thighs, perhaps resting on the inner thigh. Inviting you to take one last controlled breath. Inhaling through the nose and release. Slowly bringing awareness back into the room, into your body. Awareness of the breath. Taking a longer inhale and deeper exhale. Perhaps sweeping the arms overhead like an early morning feel-good stretch. And then exhale, we can help the knees come together from bound angle. Draw them in towards the chest, giving yourself a great big hug. Head and shoulders lift up. And then exhale, rolling over onto the right side into fetal pose. Reminding ourselves that we come into fetal pose after corpse pose to remind us after every ending there is a new beginning. Pressing that left palm down, rising up into a comfortable seated position on your mat, however that may look. Keeping the gaze soft, perhaps eyes even closed. Bring palms together at heart center. And then bow forward, ending our practice in a sign of gratitude. Namaste. Until next time, yogis.